Have you ever felt stuck? Not because you didn't know what to do, but because maybe you were doubting yourself, or maybe you talked yourself out of something you really wanted to do, or convincing yourself that you weren't ready, or maybe you were not good enough. Or perhaps you started something with lots of excitement, and when things got real, you started to hesitate. If all that sounds familiar with you, you are at the right place. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Evouk channel, a space for mindset, for growth, and real conversations. Before we dive into our topic today, I'd like to ask you for a huge favor. If you find this content helpful, please subscribe to my channel and click on that subscribe button below. Pretty easy, and I would truly appreciate your support. Now, there is something that holds so many people back, and that is called self-doubt. Today we're going to talk about how to silence or to better control that inner critic that prevents you from doing the things that you've always wanted to do. With these 5 steps, and take confident action towards what you really want in life. So the first step is recognizing and understanding that voice that makes you doubt yourself. Look, everyone experiences self-doubt. The difference between people who actually get to do what needs to get done and those who stay stuck is not like one group never experiences doubting themselves. It is that they've learned how not to let it stop them. Self-doubt is that inner voice that questions your ability, your worth, or your readiness. It whispers things like, "Who do you think you are?" or "You're not ready yet." And you know what? That voice isn't a reflection of reality. It is a reflection of fear. Fear of failing, fear of what people will think about you, or being rejected, and the list goes on and on. Your mind's job is to keep you safe, not successful. It prefers comfort zones, even if that comfort zone is mediocrity. But growth requires uncertainty, and uncertainty always triggers doubt. Think of it like going to the gym. The first time you lift weights, your muscles resist, they shake, they hurt. It's not weakness, that's growth in motion. The same applies to your confidence. You build it by acting out of discomfort. Because if you are always thinking too safe, you end up being paralyzed and do nothing. When you recognize self-doubt as a signal, not a stop sign, you start building and reclaiming your power. Being aware is the first most important step. Then we go into the next step, which is how you reframe that inner dialogue. Self-doubt thrives on one thing: the stories you tell yourself. If your inner dialogue or voice constantly says, "I can't, I'm not ready," or "others are much better than me," your brain starts believing it. But the moment you change that story in your head, everything starts to change. Let's take an example. Imagine you are to pitch an idea at work, and you start doubting and having this voice telling you, "But I'm not good presenting." Contrary to that, a reframed dialogue would say, "Yes, I might not be the best presenter, but I've got this. I got something very valuable to share." See the difference? They are both the same situation, but generating different outcomes. When doubt shows up, try your very best to reframe it positively. It is like changing the lens on a camera. The object that makes that picture will not change. It is still the same. But if you change the lens, then the way that picture looks will be totally different, and so the outcome. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right." The words you repeat create the beliefs you live by. You can't speak doubtfully and expect confidence. Start feeding your mind the same way you would be encouraging your best friend, because your inner voice sets the tone for your external results. Now let's get into our third step, and that is taking the imperfect actions. Action is a real game changer. Nothing kills self-doubt faster than movement. Confidence isn't necessarily built in your head, it is built by doing. Remember, practice makes perfect. And the more you do whatever it is that you want to do in life, the more your confidence grows. You know, most people wait to feel ready before starting anything. But readiness is kind of an illusion, because in most cases, you'll never feel completely ready. And you know what? It is totally fine. It is just human. Think about learning to swim. You can read about it, watch every swimming Olympic competition, or just visualize yourself swimming. But you won't really learn until you jump into the water and start practicing what you've visualized. So the same principle applies to your goals, whether that is starting your own business, pursuing a hobby, or making a big life change. Action doesn't mean going all in overnight. It means taking small, consistent steps even when you are unsure. Send the email, make the call, post the video, apply for that opportunity. Every tiny act of courage adds up, and with each one, self-doubt loses that grip on you. Momentum creates motivation. The more you move, the less space fear has to control you. As you collect small wins, your brain starts recognizing evidence of your capability, and that's how confidence compounds over time. So stop waiting for that perfect moment. Take that very first imperfect step, and you'll begin to see major transformations. Step number 4, surround yourself with the right people. Here's something a lot of people underestimate. Who you surround yourself with either feeds your doubt or fuels your drive. If you spend time with people who constantly criticize, complain, or settle, that energy starts creeping into you. But when you are around people who challenge you, encourage you, and cheers for you, your mindset becomes much stronger. I mean, think about it. Even the most talented athletes have coaches, mentors, and teammates who push them to believe in themselves. They borrow belief from others until they can fully own it. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean being intentional about your environment. Choose friends, colleagues, and communities that reflect the future you want, not the fear you are trying to escape. Sometimes self-doubt isn't even yours. It is something you've absorbed from others. A parent who was overly critical, a teacher who dismissed your potential, or a boss who made you feel small. But that's their story, not your truth. Start building a circle of accountability and positivity. Talk about goals, not gossip. Share growth, not complaints. The energy around you will either water your confidence or simply poison it. So choose wisely and remember this. Belief is contagious. When you are around people who not just think, but also act boldly, it will become so much harder to play small. And our last step, but not least, is redefining failure as feedback. One of the best ways to kill self-doubt is to change the way you think about failure. We've been conditioned to see failure as a sign that screams, we're incapable. When in reality, it is just evidence that we're trying. It is trial and error. Most of the successful people you admire has a trial of failed attempts behind them. The difference is they didn't let those moments define them as incapable. Thomas Edison once said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's not just a quote, it is a mindset. Failure isn't final unless you quit. It is feedback data showing you what doesn't work so you can adjust and improve. When you view setbacks this way, you remove the shame around trying. You start to see mistakes as part of the process, not proof of your inadequacy. Here is where you can change your relationship with failure. Instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? Probably it is much better asking, what I might be learning. Every failure teaches you something that success can't. It builds resilience, humility, and wisdom, qualities that no amount of self-doubt can compete with. Because when you embrace this mindset, taking action becomes easier. You stop waiting for perfect conditions because you realize progress could be a little bit messy sometimes, but that's okay. Growth is a series of stumbles that eventually lead to mastery. And I will leave you with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If this episode has been helpful for you, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you think this video could help someone you know, please share it and spread the word. That would be very much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next episode. Evouk.